The Nigerian Senate has mandated its committees on petroleum resources upstream, finance and judiciary to investigate the reasons for the failure to review the salient provisions of the Deep Offshore and Island Basin Production Sharing Contract Act. The Senate resolutions follow the adoption of a motion by Senator Ifeanyi Ubah at Wednesday plenary titled Urgent Need to Review and Recover Additional Revenue to Accruable Fund for Government from Production Sharing Contracts Act. Correspondent Folorunsho Adegoke tells us more.
2017, Nigeria had lost about 7 trillion naira over a period of 20 years due to non-review and amendment of the Deep Offshore and Inland Basin Production Sharing Contracts Act. Senator Ifeanyi Ubah, who moved the motion at plenary, says that beyond the crude oil price of $20, if the share of the federal government in the additional revenue is adjusted, Nigeria stands to gain 30 billion naira monthly, amounting to 360 billion naira annually. Following this, the Senate calls for an urgent review and amendment of the Act in order to boost the nation's revenue base.
Till date, Mr. President, the PSC Act has not been reviewed and or amended to ensure that government derives maximum and equitable benefit from the PXC as provided in the Act. Note also that as a result of the non-review of the amendment of the PXC Act, the federal government has lost about $21 billion, which is equivalent to 7 trillion naira over the period of 20 years due to the failure to review and amend the PXC Act as stated by the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources following the meeting of the Federal Executive Council on the 14th day of December 2017. Senate knows that Nigeria, having lost trillions of naira due to non-review of the PXC Act, stands to gain an additional sum of 30 billion monthly, 360 billion annually, if the Act is reviewed and amended, which would boost our revenue base significantly.
I'm seconding the motion that there is a need for us to review the Act. First, review the Act. I understand it has been attempted once or twice and it failed. Why will it fail? I also understand, maybe wrongly or rightly, that there is a cartel that doesn't allow it to come to the limelight. Why do they do so if they are? They are doing so because they will get more money while the Nigerian nation is suffering from adversing from a hard sweat.
4 components to this contract. The first one is royalty. Royalty goes to the federal government. Then there is cost of production. That is the cost that goes to any of the OIC involved in these PSCs. Then there is the one of tax. Tax also goes to federal government. Then there is profit sharing. That is where the problem is, Mr. President.
What is strange about our own situation, Mr. President, is the fact that we have refused to revisit this for whatever reason. Everybody watches Nigeria bleed. Everywhere you turn, Nigeria is bleeding. And this is one area where urgent steps need to be taken. Mr. President, the sponsors of this motion have done very well. And as far as I'm concerned, it's important that we as a Senate would develop a political will and come to a conclusion that it's not going to be another motion, that it is now that we are going to do something about this to save this country.
The Senate, after a fruitful deliberation on the matter, directs its committees on petroleum resources upstream, finance and judiciary to investigate the accruable revenue and provide solutions through a bill.
This is one bill that when it is amended and signed will give us the 160 billion naira that is in the 2020 proposed for the 2020 budget. So time is of essence here, and therefore we'll do everything possible to pass it and of course follow it up so that the effect is seen in the money that could be available to finance the 2020 appropriation which will be presented possibly next week.
The bill for the amendment of the Deep Offshore and Inland Basin Production Sharing Contracts Act will come up at plenary tomorrow. Folorunsho Adegoke, Core TV News, Abuja.